Hi, my name is Brandon Mai, and I'm going to be talking about The Rose of Tibet by Leonel Davidson, presented by me. The Hook. When the English teacher travels into the forbidden world and mysterious mountains of Tibet, one man's search for a woman pulls him into a danger, a world of danger, fate, and political conflicts. As he enters a hidden monastery, he discovers that some secrets are more valuable and important than he imagined. So the book takes us into the mindset of a young English school teacher, Charles Houston, where he is going to find his brother in Tibet, and on his way he's going to encounter many things in Tibet, such as the monasteries and the mountains and conflicts with the Chinese police at the time. So, like I said, the characters are Charles Houston. There is the Lady of the Nunnery, or the lady from the monastery. You have Richard Houston, Charles's brother, the Chinese army, and Chinese officers that were there at the time when China was conquering India. I'm pretty sure. And then Tibetan guides and locals, they're just like background characters to help Charles search for his brother Richard. The setting is set in the 1950s. Is set in Kol Kolkata, India, Calcutta, something like that. The Himalayas, and an abandoned Tibetan monastery. It has 16 chapters with a little over 300 pages. It has an epilogue and a prologue. Each chapter talks about Charles's journey to find his brother Richard and the processes that he had to go through, such as like the the beginning of how he started his journey, the conflicts in between, and at the end um where he may or may not find his brother. Um, is the case or mystery solved? It's mostly solved, but it's mostly solved, but we just don't know where his brother Richard is, and we don't know what is of this monastery that he visited. So the story answers the questions for the plot, but doesn't answer the questions regarding Richard or the monastery. I think that when it comes to life, this story talks about how we are dealing with struggles once we entered the unknown and the hidden world. As we know that as time goes by, everything changes around, and in the past, those just stay as ancient. For example, you have the Colosseum, which is just there and is now history. And then in this story, in the context of this story, we see that Ri- Charles, is trying to understand the monastery, the Tibetan monastery, Tibet, and the Lady of the Nunnery, and all of the Tibetan mystics. And then it also teaches us how when we go into a very unknown world, a very unknown and big world, we're going to deal with a lot of stuff. Um, as seniors, we are about to graduate, and we're gonna go into this bigger world and enter a new chapter of our lives where we enter a bigger world. And we don't know what this world is gonna have. It's gonna have a lot of struggles. It's gonna be filled with unexpected things, and we can't expect the unexpected. So it really helps us to give it gives us some insight to help us prepare for the worst to happen or the best, depending on how whatever life throws at us. Some of the connections that I see, some of my personal connections that I see from the Rose of Tibet is the Indiana Jones series of movies. Because like it goes into like the adventure side and going about history and discovering history. And also it has like the little like heroic mood to it where Indy is like trying to save people and he's also trying to understand the world as well in his adventures. This was an okay read. It's just the problems I had is that there's lots of dialogue, and then we get into Charles's head about how he's gonna go about finding Richard and trying to understand Tibet. It's the book is short with 300 pages, but it also gives you like a lot of details within each chapter. Uh, Honestly, the Davidson hasn't made me bored when reading this because it's giving a lot of mystery and adventurous mood to the storytelling. I think that